2023 Audi rs5 competition first drive, when good enough isn't enough. Audi attempts to turn some of its great cars into special ones. The second generation Audi rs5 has been an enigma since its debut a half-decade ago. On paper, the new one I just drove is worse than the car it replaces. This is nothing new. Remember years ago when Audi replaced a naturally aspirated 450 HP V8 and its 7-speed dual-clutch transmission with a twin-turbo, 2.9-liter V6 good for 444 HP, tied to an 8-speed automatic? And yet that new car was an improvement over the old one. Weird, I know. The lone comparison test we did with the then newfangled rs5 saw it lose to a Mercedes-AMG C63. That loss has haunted me ever since, because man did I dig that Sonoma green rs5. Sure, the rs5 wasn't as shouty and muscular as the C63, nor as athletic as the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, nor as potent as the BMW M4. But there was something wonderful about it. 5 years later, Audi's trying to increase the model's desirability by introducing the 2023 rs5 competition. What's it all about? Audi explained its customers wanted a more exciting rs5. With that mandate in mind, the Rs team made several changes to nearly every aspect of the car minus the engine. The tires are now Pirelli P0 Corsas, 275/30 20-inch rubber on all four corners, and the quite spiffy-looking wheels are 4.4 pounds lighter apiece. Speaking of weight, Audi removed more than 17 pounds of sound deadening primarily from the firewall, i.e., between the engine and the driver for a total weight savings of 35 pounds. The top speed is 180 miles per hour, 25 miles per hour faster than the standard rs5. Comfort mode remains the same, but dynamic mode is reworked for competition plus duties, encompassing everything from the exhaust note to throttle map to the stability control's allowable slip angle. Feuding with your neighbors? You can also put the car in accessory mode, switch it to dynamic mode, and the exhaust will spit out an overshoot in revolutions. Meaning the cold exhaust goes vroom vroom real loud. It's a stupid feature, but there's no way an overshoot in revolutions wasn't making it into this review. The transmission's S mode is also revamped for quicker shifts, and in manual mode the ZF8 speed no longer forces upshifts when you get to the red line. That's way cool. The suspension is massively reworked, too. The 2023 Audi rs5 competition sits nearly 0.4 inch lower than standard, and you can lower it manually by another 0.4 inch with a supplied tool. The normal car's electric dampers are replaced by fully adjustable coilovers, with controls for both rebound as well as high and low speed compression. We also just saw something similar on the new 2023 Porsche 911 GT3 Rs. Adaptive anti-roll bars are new, and the rear bar is much stiffer. The best single change might be the fixed 13:1 steering ratio, as opposed to the dynamic ratio offered in the standard rs5. The rear differential, the rs5 comp features quattro, meaning there are two diffs, is modified. The ABS is reprogrammed, and carbon ceramic brakes are standard in the US. In other markets the ceramic brakes will be optional, and the rs5 comp will be available with the standard dynamic dampers. Audi will sell both an rs5 competition and a competition plus in those other markets, where the latter gets more killer stuff. But US cars are in fact the plus cars, only called the rs5 competition. Confused? Try explaining it in a car review. Those other markets also get the super cool rs4 the wagon version. Sigh. Please note, there's no badging to indicate your rs5 is in fact an rs5 competition. No idea why. Carbon fiber mirror caps and black exhaust tips are instead the best indicators of your car's status. As mentioned, power is unchanged, 444 HP, 442 lb-ft of torque. Why not just add 15 ponies? Doing so would have necessitated additional cost, and Audi determined sales would not increase enough to justify the expenditure. Audi also claims the rs5 is 0.1 second quicker to 60 miles per hour. Weirdly, we have never tested a two-door rs5, however, we have tested the rs5 sportback, the four-door hatchback version, which is coming to the US, and we got it to 60 miles per hour in 3.6 seconds. Figure that number will drop to 3.5, whereas the coupe should get it done in 3.4 seconds. Not bad at all. Street action. The first thing I noticed when driving the 2023 Audi rs5 competition was a bit of audible grunt coming through the firewall. Those looking for a loud car will be disappointed, but if you're interested in a bit of grunting and grring, the rs5 comp sounds pretty good. Will it scare children? No. Will the new sounds interrupt your phone call? Doubtful, but it is a nice, actual noise coming out of the engine and exhaust. As for the driving experience, Audi nailed the ride quality. Sporty performance cars and sports cars should feel a certain way, firm yet flexible, as if a sprinter is up on their toes, muscles tensed. That's exactly how the 2023 rs5 competition feels. Bumps, cracked surfaces, and road imperfections are dealt with in a competent, confident one-and-done manner. Here's the asterisk: the dampers are fully adjustable. What would happen if we changed the rebound or compression a few clicks counterclockwise? Or the other way? Dunno. I do know someone set up the dampers ideally for Spanish roads. As for handling, the changes result in what Audi wanted, a more engaging driver's rs5. The fixed steering ratio is a game changer, all but eliminating one of my chief beefs with Audi performance cars, namely the muddled steering feel. In conjunction with the reworked rear end that overdrives the outside wheel when cornering, Audi effectively removed the typical push/plow sensation that's dogged its street cars for years. Remember, the rs5 is created from Volkswagen Group's MLB Evo 2 chassis, and as a result the car's engine is still mostly ahead of the leading axle, meaning about 57% of the weight rests on the vehicle's front wheels. True, you can't fully fight physics, and in extreme situations, the track section is next, you'll get understeer. On the street, however, the tires begin squealing before the suspension does. Quite impressive. On second thought, another 15 HP wouldn't have made much of a difference to the experience. Another 100 HP? Where do I sign? I drove both the rs5 Coupe and Sport versions of the new competition model, and I greatly prefer the two-door version. I've previously driven two rs5 Sportbacks and just didn't get excited about either, whereas I still fondly think about my time in the Coupe. True, the Sportback is heavier by 99 pounds according to Audi, but that ain't the reason. Especially because I also drove the even heavier rs4, and I drool over that car. A word about weights. Audi claims the 2023 rs5 competition coupe weighs 3,707 pounds, the Sportback 3,784, and the wagon 3,839. These numbers might be fanciful, because we weighed a rs5 Sportback a few years ago and it came in at 4,103 pounds. That's 319 pounds heavier than Audi says, meaning even the coupe, probably, tips the scales at more than 2 tons. Track time. Audi instructed us not to turn off the traction control all the way while driving on the track. Naturally I did so after my second lap. Sure, I'm a disobedient, disrespectful jerk, but I'm also trying to review the dang car. If I've learned anything about reviewing cars during my time at Motor Trend, it's that even the best traction and stability control systems interfere with how a car behaves on a racetrack. Can that ever be for the better? Rarely, though the McLaren 675 LT, which is kind of undrivable with all its nannies off, jumps to mind. But most cars handle better sans computer intervention. In my experience, at least. Also, the track we drove on the fantastic Ascari circuit in southern Spain features plenty of runoff and is quite safe in my book. With the rs4 wagon's ESP set to sport, what, You thought I wasn't going to drive the wagon, the car was mostly good on the track. There were a couple of moments under hard, heavy braking where the rear wagged around more than I would have liked. I was behind a writer from a competing publication in an rs5 competition coupe and observed the same behavior. But I wasn't certain if the exaggerated movement was a result of poor setup or stability control. For example, the otherwise wicked and wonderful Lamborghini Aventador SVJ moves around so much during heavy, high-speed braking, that it's borderline frightening. The Lotus Emira, by way of contrast, remains perfectly straight no matter how hard you stomp on the stop pedal. Once I turned everything off, the braking behavior improved a bit. The rs4 competition, in this case, remained much more controllable in heavy, straight-line braking zones, but not during sections where trail braking was the appropriate move. For those of you into 2-feet driving, the cars respond well to both pedals being pressed at the same time. Now's the time to call out a poor product planning decision on Audi's part. The rs4 I drove was equipped with manually adjustable sport seats. They are not only wonderfully comfortable and hold you in place well, but they're lighter, too. For some reason, these fantastic seats are not coming to the US. Boo. This is a shame, and the sport seats would be an option American Audi rs5 customers would take too. Back to the track. While by no means a track car, I came away impressed by how hard I could push these things. The new dampers were set up for the Nürburgring Nordschleife, though they're tuned just a tad stiff as Ascari's surface is nearly perfect. Sadly, the way Audi structured the launch, we were only allowed one session on track. Had I known that, I would have still driven the wagon, but I could have at least complained about it beforehand as opposed to after the fact. Still, the rs5 Comp Coupe is lighter, though it has worse weight distribution, and that's better on racetracks. The rs4's steering was not only sharp enough, but if I did take a less than ideal line through a given corner, the vehicle allowed me to correct. That's not always the case. I gained more and more confidence with each lap, which I think is the mark of a good car. I left Ascari totally unsatisfied and wanting more, another good sign. Also, another 100 HP definitely would have helped, as those straights got a little long. Still a bit of a strange one. Even in competition trim, the 2023 Audi rs5 remains an enigma. It has obvious shortcomings compared to natural competitors like the Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, Mercedes-AMG C63S, and BMW M3/M4 competition. All three ride on rear-drive platforms. MLB Evo 2 is a FWD/AWD platform, and make more power. In the case of the 503 HP BMW and 505 HP Alpha, it's not that much more horsepower, 59 and 61 ponies, respectively. That said, the M3 Comp is the most underrated car in recent memory. And the new C63 is a crazy hybrid with a 4-cylinder gas engine that pumps out 470 HP and a total system output of 670 HP. I haven't driven the AMG yet, but I have spent ample time with the other two, and I'd have a hard time seeing the rs4/rs5 besting either of them up in a canyon or on a track. And yet there's something special about the 2023 Audi rs5 competition. Something I can't quite put my finger on. For instance, even though I know the BMW M3 competition is a quicker, dynamically superior machine, I think I'd rather have the Audi. The rs5 Comp is more fun at legal speeds, more livable, and 25 times better looking. Maybe 50. Audi took an already great driving car and made it more exciting, more thrilling, and just flat out better. Yeah, the price is up about $16,000 compared to the standard rs5, but the handling improvements are well worth the money. Plus, fully adjustable dampers on a car straight out of the factory are just cool. My two big gripes are the fact the manual sport seats aren't coming, and that neither is the rs4. That said, the rs6 proved to be a sales success for Audi, and who knows what the future may bring. For now, know that Audi accomplished what it set out to do with the rs5 competition: take a great car and make it special.
One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two.